Hola amigos, welcome to the We Are All Human Hispanic Leadership Summit 2020. My name is Jesse Martinez. I'm the founder of Latinx Startup Alliance, and I am also a Bay Area Hub leader. And today's session, we'll be talking about taking local action to advance the Hispanic community through hub activation. Given the recent events regarding COVID-19, Hispanic Star hubs were created to take local action. This created a collaborative effort of relief programs and services. And today we have a great panel to talk about the local work that they did across the U.S. And so we want to welcome both Rashidi Hodari and also Sandra Caraveo. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, well, thank you for being with us for this summit. And so let's first start off with, what is a fair shot?
Thanks for having us. So I work at Suntory and responsible for our tequila portfolio. Hornitos is one of our flagship brands, and we operated with a mindset of nothing great ever happens without taking a chance. But we recognize that just taking a chance in life is different for different folks from different communities, and that there's an element of equity and fairness that's necessary for folks to be able to achieve their dreams in life. And one of the biggest chances that folks can take is the chance to become an American citizen, and that's not easy depending on what background you have. And so we've had a partnership with LULAC for a number of years, but we really said, what can we do that's meaningful to give the folks who are taking kind of the ultimate shot a fair shot? And the idea came well before COVID, and we were thinking about connecting to communities and driving education around immigration on a path to citizenship in places, bars and restaurants. We recognized, like, when COVID hit, that those places got shut down, and then we needed to pivot. And so a fair shot was like, what do you do to help in the community to get access to programs that are going to help folks deal with COVID, while also learning about access and opportunity to become American citizens.
Yeah, thank you, Rashidi. So important. Thank you for such an important initiative in the work that you're doing. What about you, Sandra? What is a fair shot, and what does it mean to LULAC?
Well, LULAC has been a trusted name in the community for 91 years. We are a network of staff, volunteers, and organizers throughout the United States and Puerto Rico. We have over 1,000 active LULAC councils who are participating and meeting the needs of their community. So it was just a no-brainer for us to be able to partner up with somebody like Hornitos, who had a special interest in immigrants. And really, we've been champions for the immigrant community. We understand that they are drivers of economies. We understand that they are working tirelessly, and we want to make sure that they're able to achieve the American dream. So it was really special for us to be able to work with Hornitos. This year in particular has been very different. Definitely not what we were expecting, but as we saw the pandemic really start to take off a little bit earlier this year, we were seeing more shutdowns, furloughs as cases increased. It was incredibly urgent for us to have a response. We were so lucky enough to be able to work with Hornitos and make our Ayuda en Español initiative a reality, which is really a spin-off of just what a fair shot encompasses. This is really a one-stop shop toolkit and resource center for Spanish-speaking community members and immigrants to be able to look for assistance, whether it's social services, whether it's education, connectivity, financial relief. So we have been so grateful for this partnership in this year.
Thank you, Sandra. It's such a beautiful partnership that came together, and you think about the collaborative efforts that the two of you are doing. And going back to Rashidi, what has this partnership meant to Hornitos and the Hornitos family?
So as a brand, I think we recognize that we have to kind of live our mission. We can't just assume that we're going to sell our products to the next person that comes into the store. That part of what we do and how we operate is to put purpose into everything that we do. That we want to be active in the communities that we serve and the communities where our products are made. And we recognize that, you know, we have a strong base of consumers from the Latinx Hispanic community, but ultimately, you know, just serving them tequila is not enough, that we wanted to be a part of their lives on their path. And so that's what made us think about the importance of creating a program like A Fair Shot, partnering with LULAC, and driving the initiative, especially in COVID. And I think, you know, it's great to kind of be here talking as part of the summit, because as much as we partnered together with LULAC, I think it was really evident that we needed, you know, a way to plug in at a local level. Hispanic Star, We Are All Human, and the hubs were the perfect match for kind of bringing the whole thing together, right? I think it's great that the initiatives that LULAC had, and I think it was great, our desire to get involved during COVID, but their need to do it at such a scale as quick as we did, really came to fruition when we partnered with Hispanic Star.
Yes, you know, we talk about the importance about, you know, We're All Human, the Hispanic Star hubs across the U.S., and how collaboration is so important, and also being able to support our local communities. As Claudia Romo Edelman says, you know, we have to reach that last mile, and that last mile is really about our local Latino communities. And so it was really awesome, right, and very beautiful to see some of the images on social media of these hubs coming together through the support of both of your organizations, and being able to deliver, you know, firsthand, in person, you know, not only a wonderful and experiential experience, but also, you know, the important information regarding citizenship and so forth. And so, you know, maybe share with us a little bit about some of that work with some of the hubs across the U.S. You know, how did that come together, and maybe, you know, some of the responses and some of the interaction that took place.
Absolutely. So, you know, we were able to quickly engage our LULAC councils and members in Chicago, in Los Angeles, and Houston to really mobilize and get the word out in the community. Right now, Latinos currently make up 26.8 million of the U.S. workforce, many of them being frontline workers working in the hospitality industry and the service industry. So they were immediately impacted by this pandemic, and really carrying a lot of the economic, the brunt of the economic fallout. So it was really important for us, you know, as an organization that really sticks up for immigrants, Latinos, to be able to meet some of the immediate needs. Right now, we were hearing stories from families saying, you know, they didn't know how they were going to meet some of the needs. You know, they were facing food insecurity. They were facing, you know, not being able to pay rent or keep lights on. So it was very important for us to take that action. When we were approached by Hornitos and the hub to really, you know, see how they could help, you know, we were really, really happy that we had partners that wanted to go ahead and take immediate help. They wanted to put a face to this pandemic and really be out there. So I think that really is part of the spirit of the whole initiative that we have, A Fair Shot. We've had families that came up to us and really said, you know, thank you, because right now, you know, I have food on my table. I have, you know, some sustenance to be able to provide my family, and, you know, being able to carry that on and meet some of those needs. That's something that's incredibly important for us, and also, you know, really touching, you know, to make sure that, you know, we're still meeting some of the gaps that we're seeing in these communities.
Hearing Sandra's explanation is very heartwarming, because I think that was part of what we wanted to embody from the beginning. But it did remind me of kind of our experience when we sat down and kind of talked about what the program was going to be. And I think we understood that we wanted to make it something that was meaningful, something that could get into the local communities. And I think some of the discussion was the place, how do you do it in a safe environment? And this was all pre-COVID, because we're talking to a population and hoping to impact a population that doesn't necessarily have the same legal status as everybody else in all cases. And we wanted to make sure that whatever we were going to do to help them, it was going to be something that they could embrace, something where they felt safe. And I think that it was only compounded when you had to now say, not only do they have that security issue and concern, there also is a health and safety concern. So figuring out a way to do it outdoors, to be able to bring communities together safely, to be able to give them the supplies and support that they need, and the knowledge and information, I think was critical. But I think the main thing is that it comes back to the need to be nimble and the need to be flexible. I think we're going to talk a little bit later about some of those best practices, but just to lead into that being nimble and flexible while also trying to get as deep a reach into the community as possible was a critical part of what I see as being this very successful.
Thank you, Rashidi. Yeah, first of all, thank you for your service, for the collaboration and for the partnership and really, stepping up and supporting our Latino communities across the U.S. They were one of the hardest hit communities, as we all know, and they continue to be impacted. And so everything that we can do to come together and be of service and of help and making sure that we can help make an impact in the littlest ways that we can, and being able to be of help. And so talking about best practices and lessons learned, maybe we can talk a little bit about or expand on that subject with respect to what have the two of you learned about public-private partnerships. What does this mean going into, say, 2021, and what can we do better collectively?
Perfect. Well, I think what we're going to be seeing is really the long-term effects of COVID. I think that these last couple of 6-9 months, we've been meeting immediate needs. Now we need to start tackling the possibility of what are these after effects? How are we going to recover financially, health-wise, emotionally, and mentally? And I think that really leads up to, having a fair shot becomes something a little bit more than that. And really a hub, a resource, being able to help potential immigrants that want to become citizens learn about more resources in their community, being able to develop new skills. And so I think that one of the directions that we're looking at here is really being able to open up a fair shot, keep the citizenship aspect under that umbrella, but really also being able to offer new services. What is professional development? What is personal development? How do we reskill? How do we, really build ourselves up to become join the workforce again, and what steps do we have to take? We're finding a lot of new underemployed folks in the community that are really just looking at how to take this opportunity and restart. I think that it's been incredibly unique, this pandemic, once in a lifetime. We've had to really pivot. I think that one of the best some of the best advice I can give is one, be prepared, be prepared, be adaptable. Everything is going to be changing. Your needs are going to be changing, the priorities, how we go about things. We do a lot of work in communities in person. That has completely changed us. We are seeing more virtual events. We are seeing more virtual engaging, and it's incredibly hard for us to be able to be out in the community. We've had to be very, very careful with how we're starting to carry out some of our events, and still being able to reach these communities, reach those needs. I think part of it as well needs to be that, it feels like a lot of work when you're doing it alone. I think we've been incredibly lucky having these partners with us, because when you're working together and you're seeing how much more you're able to do by bringing everybody's expertise and resources, that makes a huge difference for us in being able to call this a successful initiative. And I think that this is why we need to go ahead and leverage a lot of these relationships, whether it's Ornitos wanting to go ahead and be active in the community, putting a lot of faces to this pandemic. A lot of these folks work in the service industry. LULAC being a trusted member of the community for 91 years, being an advocate and really being able to provide those services. And then of course, with our hubs being able to actually have that manpower on the ground and being able to have these services together, it doesn't feel like such a hard lift, because teamwork, I know it sounds very cliche, makes it happen. So I would say that that's, really leveraging, being adaptable are probably some of the best practices that we can take from this.
Thank you, Sandra. And same question for Rashidi.
Yeah, what I can add is to my previous comment and to what Sandra said, teamwork is definitely critical. Flexibility is definitely critical. But if I can speak to maybe some of the folks that are listening today from a corporate perspective, I think there's an element, whether it's your corporate social responsibility or your brand purpose or your meaning or like your contribution to society, whatever the way you talk about it within your company, move it from a secondary mission to a primary mission is what makes it matter. Because then you get the team's traction. The teamwork doesn't become like, okay, I have to do this at some point. It means by me doing this, I am moving my brand forward. And so for Hornitos, the reason why it's been central for us is because we see ourselves as a revolutionary tequila, and we need to know, and we know that we have a bold mission for what we want to do to contribute to society, and we know that the spirit of independence is in us and in all the tequila we make. And so when we look at a partnership like this, we say, okay, it's bold to go out and step into this arena. Okay, now that we've done it, how do we go bigger? How do we make it something that can touch people in their lives on a more frequent basis? How do we actually make it matter to people day in and day out? But my main advice is, how do you make it meaningful to you as a business, even if you're not doing the exact initiative we're doing? When you find a partner, how do you make it something that's central to how you want to run and operate your business?
Thank you. Yeah, some excellent points being made. And, we talk about community, the commitment, what the program, with Fair Shot delivered. As both of you were speaking, I was thinking, oh, what's the next shot? And so what is that campaign? Because, we, definitely continue the work that both of you contributed to. But then again, what is that next step? And so what is that next shot? And then it becomes a series of shots. And, how do we help build and contribute to this overall campaign and bring others along as well? And, one thing that I do want to say is, thank you to the volunteers, throughout this whole campaign process from all the Hispanic Star hubs across the U.S. They really stepped up and delivered. And again, if you haven't seen some of the amazing images on social media, be sure to take a look at Instagram and see the work being done, and some of those smiles and just frontline work that needs to be done, and being able to see all the contributions that we have all made across. And so I know I'm excited about 2021. I'm a new hub leader for the Bay Area, and so I don't know if we had a Fair Shot down in LA. Did we have one?
Yeah, I don't think we had it in the Bay Area, but I think we definitely had it in LA. And being able to expand to new markets is definitely an opportunity for 2021. Thinking about economic empowerment along with immigration stories. And to your point, everyone has a shot that they want to take in life. For a lot of folks, it's immigration, but for a lot of other folks, it's just fulfilling the dreams that they have top of mind to make the most of their lives. And we want to be there for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're feeling really hopeful for what 2021 can bring. I think that this has really put a lot of perspective on our everyday lives and, how we make our communities better, how we help our neighbors, how we help our fellow coworkers, and just really being able to go ahead and, be grateful for our partnership, looking forward to that expansion, and really helping really immigrants and our Latino community reach their goals and give them that fair shot.
A fair shot it is. And so, as we think about 2021, what are, Rashidi, what are some recommendations you have for some of the other companies, right, and their internal teams, and being able to start this conversation, this dialogue? I was on a call the other day talking about employee resource groups, and one, to educate them about employee resource groups, but then two, how do you help support and grow them? And so when we think about some of the companies that are tuning in today, what advice would you give them?
I think I'm fortunate enough to participate in our diversity, equity, inclusion roundtable effectively at Beam Suntory. My team is actively involved in doing work like this with LULAC and Hispanic Star. And my encouragement to folks listening who are either considering jumping in or folks who have participated a little bit is if you're trying to prepare for the future, the time is now, and there is not an initiative too small or an opportunity too small, but it does take work and commitment to do it at scale. So there's a need to jump in, even if you start small, but then to recognize that it needs to be scaled, it needs to be thought of holistically and effectively. We're at a point in our country where the challenges of Black and Brown people, the Latinx community is ever present. And if we kind of think about some of these things as secondary issues that can be addressed kind of at some point, we're going to continually be pushing this rock up a hill. And so the time is now. 2021 is going to be better than 2020. So let's get after it.
Yes, let's definitely hope and pray for that better 2021. And you are correct. As we think about our Black and Brown communities, we're front and center now, and ensuring that we have the support, we have the equity, and we have the buy-in from the top down when we talk about organizations across the board, so that we do have that equal access, right, and support. And Sandra, when we think about 2021, and what are some things that other companies and organizations can do, and and when they start thinking about partnering with LULAC?
Absolutely. That's a really great question. My recommendation is really one, research, be aware. It's very easy to take on a cause and really, just put financial support behind it. But really, if you want to make that direct impact, really take that time to learn. I think what's so special about this particular partnership has been, the Beam Suntory Hornitos family is not scared to go out into the community and really put a face to a lot of these initiatives. And I think that that's so important, because at the end of the day, we're really looking at, changing some lives. And so I definitely agree, with being able to scale projects, learning about some of the other back issues that may potentially affect these communities. So I think that it's very important for us to be able to have that engagement, really have the initiative to want to learn, that hunger. I always say that in a perfect world, organizations like LULAC would not exist, because that means that we have plenty of resources, we have equity for all communities, but unfortunately it's a never-ending uphill battle. So I would say really take on that cause, really even starting from small, starting from scratch, and being able to scale out, have that long-term vision, because I think that is so important in building trust with not only organizations, but also within communities, to really have a successful initiative and project. So I would say, really researching, becoming more aware, and really making sure that it's something that's scalable and something that you can commit to in the long term.
Thank you, Sandra. And as we wind down here the panel, it's so important and appreciative of some of the lessons that you have learned, some of the words of advice, and also how someone can start, even if it's starts off small, and what we can all do as we come together in supporting our Latino communities across the U.S. And so I certainly want to thank, on behalf of We're All Human, the Hispanic Star, all the amazing hubs across the U.S., including our volunteers, because this wouldn't be possible without them. We appreciate your time today at the Hispanic Leadership Summit 2020, and sharing a little bit more perspective on what it means to the two of you, both at LULAC and also Hornitos, and then also looking at what can we do together in 2021 with respect to a fair shot. So thank you again, and we appreciate your time, and have a wonderful holiday season.